Hello and welcome to Ascending Voices, the Art of Leadership. My name is Tumi Buys and today we're very excited. We are going to be chatting to winemaker extraordinaire Rianie Strydom. Rianie, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Tumi, thank you so much for your invitation. I really feel honored. I'm really glad we met last year, that I can be in your show today, and I'm looking forward to what you want to ask.
More like what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I have to say, talk about last year when we met at the CWG event. Yes. I remember you were such a big deal. You know, everybody was so excited about you coming. And I remember walking in and I asked, where's the winemaker? And everybody was like, she's over there. And I must say, I was so surprised meeting you because you were so relaxed and you were so friendly. I didn't know what to expect because obviously all these accolades and everything that everyone was saying about you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, you make me feel like a rock star, but in the end, I think most of us winemakers, we are happy people. Mm-hmm. You remember, we do take a little bit of a doppie at 7 o'clock in the morning when we taste our wine, so we always kind of seem to be quite relaxed, and we enjoy what we do.
We'll talk about that. You mentioned to me earlier that you've always known that this is what you wanted to do. I find it so fascinating that from a young age, you were very clear that this is what you wanted to do.
Yes, I mean, I must say last year I thought like, oh, why didn't I rather study engineering when we started going in lockdowns? And I probably would have still had a job. But needless to say, yeah, I'm one of those bit of a boring person that grew up on a small holding and has always been, I've always loved the outdoors. And my choice of becoming a winemaker was a vision that I had about having a white suit on and being a chemical somewhere in a lab, a chemical engineer, and on the other side on a quad bike and driving on a horse or the quad bike somewhere amongst orchards or vineyards or something like that. And I looked and I thought, the best combination of the best of both worlds is to become a winemaker. Yeah. And I pretty much at the age of 12 set my mind on that and continued and ended up studying a BSc Agriculture in Enology and Viticulture at University of Stellenbosch.
Actually, I wanted us to go back a little bit, to talk about your career from where it started. Okay. You just mentioned what you studied and what happened after, because I know that you worked in a few vineyards to get more experience, and you're also overseas. Can you take us through your journey as to how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so because I decided I wanted to do that, I even did home economics at school because I thought, well, that makes sense to do wine and food pairings. And actually, as a student, I decided, well, it makes no sense to go and work in a small restaurant or something. Mm-hmm. So I worked Saturday mornings and holidays on a wine farm. Mm-hmm. First a bigger one and then a smaller one. And my first, so the second one I worked was Morganoff Estate. Mm-hmm. And it just continued from there. So straight out of varsity, they offered me a position as assistant winemaker. Mm-hmm. And I ended up being the cellar master there. I was there for a 10-year period. Mm-hmm. In that time, I had the opportunity to do some vintages overseas. So my first vintage was in 1996 in Burgundy, where you focus and work with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about that experience? That must have been exciting.
It was super exciting. I mean, your first time going overseas, and I had to take speed trains to get to Burgundy, and everything is on time in Europe, and if you miss a train and people speak French, it was quite nerve-wracking. Yes. But I ended up with a small family-owned business. That's a nice thing of a lot of the properties in Europe. They're all family-owned. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Marceau, and it was literally around the corner from the cellar. The cellar is in the town, and all the vineyards are around the town. Mm-hmm. So in the morning, people drive through the town, and it's a whole excitement of harvest coming in and the grapes. So to me, it's been a wonderful experience, and I think it actually made me even more excited that what I chose to do in my life is going to be very exciting all the time. There's never a dull moment. Every vintage is different. You know, this European experience, a small village, you can buy your bread at one place and your charcuterie at another place, and there's a place where you buy your drinks. Breakfast is with a glass of wine.
Yes.
So no, it was an all-round great experience. Then I did another vintage in 1998 where I moved to the other side of France, and I was in Saint-Emilion at a bigger estate, and there you work more with Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. So it's a completely different way of making wine and looking at it. And from there afterwards, you know, we started a family, Louis and I. My first child was born in 1999. So your opportunities of literally going to work overseas becomes a little bit less.
Would you say that that experience sort of shaped the winemaker that you are today?
It shaped, definitely. I'm still completely fascinated with French wine and what they do and their heritage and how they know exactly where everything has come from and how they've been doing it and how it's gone through the generations. So it definitely played a really big part in where I am today.
And do you still go over there often?
So most of my trips after that has been 2-week trips on tasting sprees where we would, you know,
Please take me with the next time.
I've done a couple of trips with friends because you also get lonely traveling alone or traveling and then seeing beautiful places, but you can't share it with people. You know, that's the whole thing of us, our industry. You want to share it with people. So I have organized some trips where friends come along and Louis and I having contacts that we can make some appointments with winemakers in their wineries, and my friends will tag along and they can taste wines that they never in their lives will have opportunities to taste. So it's not just having that fun, but it's also seeing the lighten up of people's faces once they experience it the way that's maybe normal for me. And that makes me so happy, is to where people can learn through fun in the wine and come back and see, wow, I didn't realize people do it like that. Or I can understand now why you pay 6,000 Rand for that bottle of wine, for argument's sake, that kind of thing. So,
Now, as a female winemaker, what would you say the biggest challenges are for women in the industry? I know that we have more and more women now who are getting into the industry, which is very lovely to see. But what do you think the issues are? Why are we not seeing more?
You know, it's like, I guess, being a woman in a industry and working is challenging in many industries. It's not just in wine. I think wine gets maybe more emphasis because it's an agricultural background, and in the past, you know, that was just not a role there. But I think the biggest challenge is actually just to go out there and believe in yourself and just do it, and maybe the physical side of it, because you can learn how to manage people correct, that they can do that part for you, because there's a lot of things physically that you cannot do. But we as women have different ways of working with people. And it's, if you work the right way with people, you know, men that need to assist you, they feel honored to help you. I think sometimes we don't allow guys to do still what they grew up and taught and learned. And that's the way I think we should see it going forward. There is no necessary need not to feel welcome. And where our industry is today, you know, from, I've probably been in this for about 28 years now, and when I started and how it's been approached today is completely different. There is much more younger girls that have their own brands, they're exciting, and people want to talk to them, you know, people want to taste their wine, and they've got a huge following. And they get out there, and you just really need to believe in yourself, because there is opportunities.
It's actually something I wanted to ask you. It's very interesting to see a lot of young people getting there and having their own wines. Would you advise them to do that, or is it more advisable for them to get experience, maybe work for a couple of years? And
it's always good to have experience, but I think the younger generation now have a lot of knowledge. They have a better opportunities of gaining knowledge with the openness of internet. I mean, internet has changed the world. Today's kids don't have to, or young people don't have to go and sit and study in a library and trying to find a book, what is the information. They just Google it and you get it. So yes, experience is always useful and great, but there's ways of getting experience in a new way. And if you want to go out on your own, you're going to just have to realize you are going to experiment and you might lose some money, but it's going to be on your cost. So that's a decision you have to make. I'm going this way and I'm going for this myself, or I'm going to gain experience working on another winemaker, being an assistant at a winery, see how the logistics, the buying, the budgets, the grapes, the whole thing work, and then from there I go on myself.
Okay. That was actually going to be my next question. What would your advice be to young women who are watching and who are thinking of getting into the wine industry, or who want to get into the wine industry? I know that there are different aspects to the industry. You know, you don't have to be a winemaker. There's sommeliers. There's so much. Yes. What advice would you give to somebody who's watching and is thinking, I'd like to get into the industry. I'm not sure where to start. Is this what I really want to do? And I like the fact that you mentioned that you're able to have a sip in the morning just to taste, which is something that I think I can't do in my house. Obviously, I'm not a winemaker. But what advice would you give to young girls that are watching that are thinking, this is what I would like to do?
I think they need to decide that's what I want to do. Am I going to go for it 100%? And then go and sign up at University of Stellenbosch for the BSc degree in viticulture and enology, or you can study at Elsenburg. There is one or two other places as well. I'm not so sure about their names, but that is the two main places that you go and study. You need to study. You know, yes, it is something that you can be self-taught and grow and whatever, but then you first need to get in the industry, you know. And if I look at where I'm sitting today, where I appoint younger people, you always look at their qualifications. So it is like in anything, it's good to have a qualification. It's good for yourself. It opens your mind. You maybe started and you see this is not what I want, and then if you end up in something that you don't love doing, then work becomes work. It's not something nice. And that's not where you want to end up. Anything, you can be so successful if you do what you love. So put yourself out there, find out what you want to do. There is a lot of bursaries available that you can apply for, but go for it, you know, and really enjoy it. It's a lifestyle, you know, live it. To be in wine is living it every day. I wish I knew about this when I was younger. I think I would have definitely made a different career choice. One thing you also need to realize about our industry is that you don't just go and you study and you become a winemaker. You know, people want to talk to you. One of the phrases I always say, I wish my English teacher could see me now. You know, because we all had to do orals in class and you had to stand up and talk in front of the class and nobody wanted to do it. You always wanted to be last or first and then it's done. And now it's like a normal thing, you know. Again, if you talk about something that you know, that you have knowledge about, it's always better to talk to other people about, because they don't know more about this than what you do. And that gives you confidence.
Absolutely.
And that's how you sell yourself, is that confidence and that enjoyment that you have doing it. So our industry has got, you're going to study the soils and you're going to learn how to make wine and you're going to learn how to manage vineyards, but you're also going to have to learn to market yourself, sell a product, be confident, know the knowledge behind the travel the world. So it's a lot of different aspects.
Okay, I know this may not necessarily be an easy question to answer, but in your range, which one is your favorite? I have to ask.
I have 5 wines. I do, it probably would also sometimes depends on what is the situation that I'm in, but I guess the best go-to for me would be my Chenin Blanc, which is called Daniel. So my Rianie Strydom vineyards, and the label is just Strydom, and I've named my artisan range. It's got specific names, and this one is called Daniel, and it's a Chenin that is fermented half in barrels and half in amphora, which is a clay pot. It's got lots of minerality. It's got enough depth and feel in the mouth, and it's quite fresh and fruity, even though it's been aged and matured for 10 months.
Now we have more and more young women coming into the wine industry, which is very exciting. What advice would you give to young women that are watching the interview and that are thinking this is what they would like to do?
I do think that the young ladies of today should not feel intimidated, that they think it's a male-dominated industry. It's definitely not anymore. There's some great successful women in our industry. That's come a far way, and it's all because they've just believed in themselves and they went out there and they said, listen, this is what I can do. You know, women are arty, and it's a way of living out your art in a scientific way. And that's why they create great wines. And people, the world is open to want to listen to women more. And you should embrace that and use that opportunity and go out there and make a name for yourself and just enjoy it, because that's what it's about. It's whatever you choose your career path, as long as you enjoy it, it's not going to feel like a job you're going to, it's going to feel like I'm living my day.
Rianie, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed our conversation, and I think you sort of reignited my love and appreciation for wine, and especially what goes behind winemaking. You know, it's really such an interesting career, and you've opened up my eyes to so much. So thank you for your time and your inspirational story, for sharing it with all of us. Much appreciated.
No, I'm glad I could do that, and I hope there's more people that's now intrigued that want to go and drink wine and help our industry.
I hope so too.